The untold truth about Joe Biden reveals a man whose life has been defined by both remarkable resilience and political evolution spanning 7 decades in American politics. Born in Scranton, Pennsylvania in 1942 to a family that experienced financial hardship, Biden's early years shaped his political identity in ways many Americans don't realize. Few know that as a child, Biden struggled with a severe stutter so debilitating that nuns at his school nicknamed him Bye-Bye because of his difficulty saying his name. He would spend hours in front of a mirror, reciting Yeats and Emerson to overcome this impediment, a challenge that would later inform his empathy toward others facing personal struggles. Biden's political career began surprisingly early. At just 29 years old, he became one of the youngest senators ever elected, so young that he was actually constitutionally ineligible to serve until he turned 30, several weeks after the election. What most Americans don't know is that this victory came with immediate tragedy. Just weeks after his election, his wife, Nelia, and infant daughter, Naomi, were killed in a car accident while Christmas shopping. Biden's sons, Beau and Hunter, were severely injured but survived. Biden was sworn into the Senate at his son's hospital bedside, a moment that cemented his identity as Amtrak Joe, as he would commute 3 hours daily between Delaware and Washington to be home with his children each night, a practice he continued for 36 years. The personal tragedies in Biden's life didn't end there. In 2015, his son Beau, who many believed would carry on the Biden political legacy, died of brain cancer at 46. This devastating loss initially led Biden to decide against running for president in 2016, a decision that altered the course of American political history. What's rarely discussed is how profoundly grief has shaped Biden's political persona and approach to crisis. Behind closed doors, staffers report that Biden often reaches out personally to Americans experiencing tragedy, making unscheduled calls to console those who have lost loved ones. Biden's legislative record contains contradictions that reflect America's changing cultural landscape. In the 1970s, he opposed busing to integrate schools, but later worked closely with the first black president. He authored the 1994 crime bill, later criticized for contributing to mass incarceration, but also drafted the Violence Against Women Act, considered landmark legislation for women's safety. These contradictions reveal a politician who has continuously evolved on issues like same-sex marriage, which he initially opposed before becoming one of its most prominent supporters. His path to the presidency was far from straightforward. Few remember that Biden's first presidential run in 1988 ended in plagiarism allegations when he used portions of speeches from British politician Neil Kinnock without attribution. His 2008 campaign fizzled before gaining traction. It took until his third attempt at age 77 to win the White House, making him the oldest first-term president in American history. This persistence through repeated political failure demonstrates a resilience rarely highlighted in political narratives. Biden's presidency has been defined by attempting to navigate unprecedented challenges: a global pandemic, economic volatility, rising international tensions, and profound domestic political division. Historians note that Biden's legislative achievements, including the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, represent some of the most substantial federal investments in decades. Yet these accomplishments have often been overshadowed by cultural battles and ongoing political polarization. What's seldom discussed is Biden's backstage reputation as a detail-oriented policy wonk who exhausts staff with lengthy question sessions and margin notes on briefing papers. Despite his public image of verbal gaffes, those who work closely with him describe someone who immerses himself in policy minutiae to a degree few presidents have. Former staff members reveal that Biden's sometimes rambling public speaking style contrasts sharply with his focused, incisive questioning in private meetings. Health concerns have dogged Biden's presidency, with critics pointing to his age and moments of verbal confusion as evidence of decline. Less well known are the rigorous medical evaluations and cognitive tests he routinely passes, as well as his disciplined physical fitness regimen that includes daily workouts that would challenge individuals decades younger. White House physicians have consistently certified his fitness for office, though questions about age and succession planning became central to national conversation during his term. Biden's relationship with his son Hunter has been a source of political vulnerability and personal pain. The younger Biden's struggles with addiction and controversial business dealings have provided fodder for opponents, while revealing the elder Biden's unwavering loyalty to family. What's less understood is how this dynamic reflects Biden's broader approach to loyalty in politics, standing by staff and allies even when politically inconvenient, a trait both praised for its humanity and criticized for its potential blind spots. As historians begin evaluating Biden's legacy, many point to his role as a transitional figure who straddled multiple eras of American politics, from the pre-internet age to the social media presidency. His career spans from the Vietnam War to the AI revolution, making him a living bridge between vastly different political epochs. Whether viewed as the restoration of institutional norms after a period of disruption or as an insufficient response to escalating 21st century challenges, Biden's presidency represents a unique historical moment when America grappled with fundamental questions about its future direction and global role. The untold truth about Joe Biden isn't found in political talking points or partisan attacks, but in the complex tapestry of resilience, adaptation, contradiction, and conviction that defined his 7 decades in American public life, a life that reminds us how personal tragedy can shape public service, and how political figures behind their public personas remain deeply human in their struggles, contradictions, and aspirations.